Yes. Welcome, everyone. If you're watching this live, that means that, of course, it is Wednesday at noon Eastern Time, which is always time for the High Noon Hemp Show. As you can see, a little bit of a theme. Today, I have my traditional Halloween costume on. We got a little orange going. A couple days before Halloween, getting you in the mood, the spirits, if you will. Thanks for joining us on the High Noon Hemp Show. Of course, you can find us many places. We're on the Temptations Beach Facebook page, also Deadeye Hemp YouTube channel. And if you were on X or Twitter, whatever it is you call it, make sure you're following at Temptations. It is awesome. All of it is awesome. I'm, of course, Stoner Jesus. I do various things on the interwebs. You can search. He is Beach. He loves hemp. He is high above the Temptations in Northside Beach. How are things this week in the world of Temptations?
It's true. I am high above the Temptations in Flower Factory location for this week's High Noon Hemp Show. It's another interesting week, I should say, definitely in Ohio. Remember, everyone, the FDA has not evaluated the show for safety or efficacy. That being said, let's go ahead and put our peace signs on hemp and do the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the hemp fields of America and to the soil in which it is planted. One seed under the sun with responsibility, sustainability, and thrivability for all. Speaking of that, Stoner, do you know what today is?
Oh, Lord. Oh, maybe you forgot. No, Beach. What day is it?
Hemp Day! That's right,
He sure
everybody.
can.
It's Wednesday, it's high noon, it's the High Noon Hemp Show, and it's Hemp Day! And I appreciate everyone viewing. I really do. Thanks for watching. If you're watching live, chime in anytime you want. Questions, comments, anything you want to do. If you're watching later, you can email me at hemptations@me if you have any questions you'd like me to bring up or whatnot. And so there you have it. Okay, so it is. I did go to a Halloween party last night, and then we actually I broke this costume out. I'll put it up here, and you guys can. And it's not the
Oh,
best picture. I'm gonna
should I
wear.
come through?
Oh, it didn't come through.
Nope.
That's okay. That's okay. Well, we'll wait. I'll post
Right.
it. I'm gonna wear it Friday. I ain't gonna wear it on Halloween. Um, but I did get most original costume, and we'll get a pic. If nothing else, I'll have a good picture of me in it next week on the show, and I'll
Yeah.
try to maybe post a picture on Friday when I'm here, dressed in it. But it's a very good idea. Mary came up with the idea, and like I said, I wore it on the Halloween boat trip with the tiki tours that we go on, and then I wore it last night for the medical marijuana Halloween party. Um, so it's good stuff. You'll see it eventually, I promise. Um,
Indeed.
okay, so the Ohio ban has been extended, which again does not surprise me because we didn't get a ruling. So that's why the judge basically extended the ban on the ban in Ohio. I was expecting a ruling by yesterday, but he extended the ban. So therefore, we may now not get a ruling until December, which is great. We got at least November to get through and not have to worry about anything, except for the fact that the House, or they are trying to pass this bill. And I talked about how I think this was kind of I think the ban was kind of a cover for wanting to get this bill passed, because you come out with the ban and you make everything sound terrible, and then um, and then you have this bill which again puts hemp under the control of the medical marijuana or recreational dispensaries. It raises the age, which that's fine. I'm okay with putting the 21 on there. And honestly, I think that's the only thing they need to do. All right. So now it's going to be interesting because this bill does somehow, and again, it's all about a money grab. What did I say before? It's all about this $10,000 license. And again, they're just letting all the rich people have control of the market to have this license. And we are eligible. We would be eligible for this license because we are selling these products now, even though I don't know what these products are because they still have not defined what intoxicating hemp is. So, once again, this bill will not be legal either because there's no legal definition of intoxicating hemp. Okay. And I'm going to talk more about this on the federal level in a moment when we get to the news. But in the state of Ohio, once again, they're trying to redefine what hemp is, but in a very vague way. They're trying to redefine hemp in a way that has no definition. So therefore cannot be legal. I mean, once again, by calling these things intoxicating hemp, who decides that? What's on the list? How do I even know whether I'm selling something that is deemed illegal if there is no clear definition of what intoxicating hemp is to begin with?
Yep.
And so it's mind-boggling that they're still doing these things. And of course, now it seems like, and this is what I think is funny, is like the headlines that I'm seeing now is they're pushing this bill in Ohio as a bipartisan bill.
Mhm.
Like, yeah, the Democrats are working with the Republicans to get this done, so it's got to be good for everybody. Which is just the opposite. It's the fact that they're working together to get this done. It's bad for all of us. It is not good for any citizen in the in Ohio that enjoys these products that aren't defined and we don't even know what they are. So again, it's just a bunch of and to be clear, not only are they messing with these products and putting these, but they are in fact messing with the will of the people with the recreational legalization bill initiative that we passed in the state of Ohio by 58%. So in this bill, it's both attacking the bill that we passed by 58% in the state of Ohio, which was specifically worded for a purpose so that they couldn't do things like this, but they are. They're changing it, attacking it, changing it, and then also throwing this intoxicating hemp thing in there. And again, it's all smoky. There is no clarity to any of this. And they're doing that on purpose to keep the people of Ohio who chose to have it legal confused. Trying to make it sound like this is a safety issue. This is for the safety of the kids, and it's not at all. It's about collecting $10,000 for a license to sell something that's federally 100% legal. Now I need a $10,000 license to sell something that's federally legal. It's like extortion, if you ask me. Oh, man. If you are in Ohio or you're not in Ohio, feel free to call the representatives, every person in Ohio that is supposed to represent the people of Ohio, and tell them this is a terrible idea. The only thing you want or think is reasonable, not even want, but think is reasonable, is 21 and up. Make these but here's the thing is tell them, yeah, you want a 21 and up, but you need to tell us what that actually is, and it doesn't need to be $10,000. It needs to be the same for a tobacco license. Okay. And what I think is funny is they're kind of meeting in the middle between a tobacco license and and a alcohol license. Because a tobacco license costs in Hamilton County, it's $500 plus the $35 or so state license fee. That's it. It costs like $50 to have a Ohio tobacco license, but it costs $500 in Hamilton County as an extra if you want to sell anything with nicotine in it. So, is it more reasonable to think yes, $35 for a state license and possibly $500 for a county license to sell these products? It's reasonable. It doesn't exclude, the people that aren't rich. But all the other things are wrong to begin with. Again, I don't know. I mean, I get it. They don't want the packaging to look like it's for kids, which again is just ignorance. Because I don't care if it does look like it's for kids. It's always behind the counter, and it's not something kids can get, and they don't sell them to kids unless they're, older looking minors. And I'm not saying that that's not happening, but they're not selling to 12-year-olds. And again, just card. I mean, if anybody was to come in here today and want some of these products and they looked too young, I would card them. We carded for nicotine vapes before that was law, And again, I'm not trying to put anything that may or may not be safe into the hands of children. It is not my goal. It shouldn't be anybody's goal. That being said, prove that it's unsafe, and we can talk further. But for the sense of common sense, I have no real issue. I'd also like everyone to decide what an adult is. Are you an adult at 18 or are you an adult at 21? I'd really like that defined by the federal government. In Ohio, they've made everything 21. It's 21 for tobacco, 21 for alcohol. So 21 for this intoxicating hemp, whatever it is, makes sense. But that's it. That's it. That's it. If that's your goal. And then, I still follow that up with the fact that 18-year-olds, all you have to have is a credit card. So an 18-year-old can go online and have any of these products shipped to their house.
Yeah.
I mean, technically, I would guess a 15-year-old that had a credit card could go online and buy these products and have them shipped to their door. So that's all you're doing. You're sending these sales out of state. And so it's like, it's just so, again, it's just ignorant. It's just very, very ignorant. When they're not available where they are now, then, what is my, oh, that's interesting. The video wasn't working. That was weird. On YouTube. Okay, I'm up and running on YouTube now. Anyway. And so, again, get a hold of them. Tell them it's ridiculous. The $10,000 just isn't fair. It's not fair. It's anti-consumerism is not fair. And technically, once again, all these products are still federally legal. So where's Ohio cannot redefine that in any way. So we'll see how it all plays out. We're keeping an eye on it like we always do.
Indeed.
So, all right. Well, let's get on to the product spotlight. 4 from the store, 1 from my door here on the High Noon Hemp Show. So the first one is the Miracle Oil Shampoo and the CBD Daily Conditioner. And I know that I have seen out there, people like, yeah, CBD and shampoo and conditioner. That seems weird. The idea of CBD and conditioner makes all the sense in the world. And here's why. A, you massage that conditioner into your scalp and make sure your hair is covered with it, and you leave it on there. So therefore, that CBD is going to absorb again, and the hair benefits that you get from CBD. Once again, one study proved that 100% of its participants grew more hair using CBD on their scalp, whether it was just a tiny bit or a lot. And so I really think CBD and conditioner makes all the sense in the world, um, because I think that that's definitely going to help with hair growth. And again, because you leave it on there, and it might not make as much sense on the hair in the CBD, but it makes total sense to massage that into your scalp and leave it on there, and get the benefits that way. Uh, how about a Satori bag? This is a nice kind of cool, classic looking uh, computer bag, iPad bag, book bag. Um, you know, whatever you want to put in there, bag. Uh, Either way. Hey, how about I did sell one of these online, hemp hoodlam paperboy hats, and I'm going to get all of these out. I've got some different colors, different styles. They are kind of fit, but this is definitely more of a winter hat. That's why I haven't got them out yet, and I need to get all the winter stuff. Probably going to go out today, as a matter of fact. Um, so I do have some of these listed online. Uh, but here's this one, and again, I do have some other colors to go out, and they're thick, heavy line, to keep the old noggin warm in these cold winters, because it's getting cold here. It's cold here, and we have switched over. I was hoping that we might get maybe a couple more 70-degree days, but honestly, I'm not looking. It's not looking good.
It's done.
Not looking. Maybe in November, some weird, but it's not swinging that way. We kind of went right past fall once again, so we'll see how that plays out. And the last one from the store are the drinks, the most controversial drinks. This is a big thing everybody seems to be talking about when they talk about the intoxicating hemp ban in Ohio. It seems like the drinks are really, and again, because these drinks, the drinks were in bars, they were almost everywhere, and then all of a sudden everybody's like, ah, and they panicked, and I never panicked, but these are the new 420 crafts that we got in. The two on the left are 50 milligrams. That's a lemonade and a fruit punch. And then the 5 on the right are 25 milligrams. And you got a cherry cola, orange, root beer, blueberry, and strawberry lemonade. And they are all very good, honestly. I've tried almost all of them at this point. I haven't tried the 50 milligram ones yet. The 25 is a lot. I don't need to drink a whole can of that, honestly. It's just, maybe like before bed or something. But I tend to divide it up, because I'm old. I don't need all that.
Right.
But the young kids love them, and they're super cheap, honestly, for the milligram count. We're doing a really good deal on 4-packs as well, and so we're after Saturday, or I should say Saturday. We are, what I say is that we are officially, and again, Halloween should count. So Halloween is a holiday, technically, but what I consider the holiday season starts the day after Halloween. And that's all the holidays, it's not one holiday or another. There, I think, are 7 different holidays from like Thanksgiving to New Year's Day, representing different cultures and different things. And, we believe in celebrating all of them. I don't particularly celebrate any of them. I mean, I love Thanksgiving for the food. But,
Hey,
and I am very thankful to the indigenous people that helped the early settlers. Um, it is true. But either way, if you got a holiday party, or maybe you want to liven up your Thanksgiving gathering,
right.
get you a 4-pack. And I always say this is kind of how I look at it, and I think this is a good way to do it too. Is say you want to take a 4-pack of root beer, then you grab a 2 liter of root beer, and you can divide that can up. A quarter of that can is like a 6 milligram drink for somebody, whatever it is. I like to do that with the lemonade, whereas I might do a half a can, get 10, 12 milligrams or so, or a quarter of a can. And so, you can kind of divvy it up, or even do it as shots, which is another thing that I think is a good idea. But a shot's only going to have 2, 3 milligrams. I mean, I haven't done the math to figure it out. You could do it a decent sized shot or drink again. A quarter of a can once again is going to be like a 6 milligram shot of THC. So many ways to enjoy the old THC drinks while we still hopefully have them one way or another. It's funny. Bonnie's sending me photos right now, probably from the party last night. I'm sure there's one in there that's a halfway decent one. It's weird that it didn't come through from this phone. My mail didn't come through from this phone. Anyway, there you have it. 4 from the store. Now the one from my door is a Hemp Mania bag that I've been carrying these days. It's kind of a mini size of my backpack, but I love this bag. Is so awesome. It has literally, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 pockets. 8 pockets in this bag. Probably 4 of them are zipper pockets, small, big, medium. Actually, I think I counted the one in the front. Yeah. And so I like that. I like it. I can put this in this pocket and that in this pocket, and know where everything is when I need to get it. So it's nice. And Hemp Mania makes great stuff. I don't think that I have any. I know I might have a couple Hemp Mania bags still left on the shelves. Either way. All right, there you have it. 4 from the store, 1 from my door on the Product Spotlight. High Noon Hemp Show. You're watching. We're here. We're doing it.
We're live. We're here.
And
we're talking hemp.
We are live.
And we're talking beachwear. As you may know, Beach has a lot of hemp clothing. When I say a lot of hemp clothing, I say probably more than anyone else on the planet. Beach has set and holds many hemp records, all of which, of course, as you know, go unrecognized by the Guinness Book of World Records and the Guinness World Records because they do not care. Their official position is they don't care about cannabis or hemp records or any of that. So it's up to us to talk about it and chronicle all of these records for history or posterity or whatever. We like to talk about what the Guinness World Records has going on. Of course, it is Halloween, so I figured it would be something Halloween themed. And of course, it is. And I guess this is pretty interesting. I don't know. Well, I guess you all will be the judge. Is the largest pumpkin, the heaviest pumpkin, 2,819 pounds and 4 ounces. British twins. They've been growing pumpkins, giant pumpkins, for over 50 years together. And now they hold the Guinness World Record for that pumpkin that you see that's almost 3,000 pounds. How they get a 3,000 pound pumpkin, I don't know, but there it is.
I know the one in the United States that just happened here, like in Ohio, I think was 2,300. I think won it.
Wow.
Here in Ohio just recently. And there's just a crazy picture of like eight pumpkins this size, like on pallets,
Yeah.
waiting to be weighed, and it just doesn't even look it doesn't even look real, honestly.
For some reason, they decided to put this one on a car. I hope it's not anyone's car that they wanted to drive, because I don't think it's good for the shocks and the.
That's testing the structure. At least they know, they can hold 3,000 pounds on top of their car.
It's a strong car, but it's got to be doing some kind of damage.
Right.
But there you go. That's what the Guinness World Records cares about this Halloween, is that incredibly large pumpkin that's probably heavier than many cars nowadays. But that's not what we're talking about, because we care more about hemp than large pumpkins. All the large pumpkins are cool. They're not as cool as hemp, and all of the hemp clothing that Beach is wearing, which he will tell me about as soon as I ask him the very important question: what are you wearing, Beach?
That's true. If you're curious, hey, what are you wearing, Beach? Now you're going to know. On top of the old head there, that's a no bad ideas hat. My jacket is a Joe Rocket jacket, and that is a riding jacket. It actually has the space to put pads in almost everywhere for motorcycle riding. My sweatshirt is Prana, and I'm wearing this in honor of my oldest birthday, which is tomorrow. But he actually got me this for my birthday 1 year, and so that's my Prana sweatshirt, which I really like. Fits me great. Underneath my Prana sweatshirt, I have a Two Jupiters T-shirt, which is really rare. Two Jupiters made some great stuff, but they kind of did some name switching around, I think, as far as that brand. And then, of course, good old pair of Kentucky Hemp Outfitter jeans, my favorite jeans that I have a lot of pairs of. In my pocket, you can see the Green Springs Technology pen. Underneath it all, a pair of Satori boxers. And my favorite combination, I've got Kind Hemp and Wicked boots on my feet. If you've heard me say it before, I love to say Kind Hemp and Wicked boots. It just seems like that's perfect. So there you have it. If you're curious, what are you wearing, Beach, on this lovely, crappy day in the high state area? Now you know, layered up, layered up, and that jacket, because hemp canvas is naturally water resistant. Should be, as long as I'm not out in the rain for a long period of time, water should kind of roll off that jacket pretty well. Either way. All righty. I don't know what trailer I picked, but let's check out a trailer here, and we'll get back with some news.
Yeah.
Well, if that doesn't get you fired up, I
Right.
don't know what will. I really don't.
Fired up for hemp. Let's do
Although,
it.
this might get you fired up too, because we have already broken a record that was added to the hemp record books. So I think it was 1,000 bales, 1,000,000 pounds. But here, now in Kansas, we have 1,211 bales. And those bales seem huge.
Yeah.
Is it really 1,211 of those bales? Because, those look even bigger than the bales that were the big wall of bales.
Yeah. If they're going for mine.
And this added up to 1.2 million pounds of hemp biomass. They got 5 tons per acre of biomass. I mean, that is unbelievable. And we're going to talk about how that breaks down into usable fiber in a minute. There's some interesting stuff going that I learned on that. So there you have it. This is the new bale weight record. Um,
Wow.
Set in Kansas, 1,211 bales, 1.2 million pounds. So there you go. I asked somebody to break the, and if somebody breaks this record every week, man, we're gonna have a lot of hemp on the planet. Come on, somebody break this record next week. I'm waiting. Um, this is kind of interesting. But Heidelberg Materials France, and for those of you that may or may not know, probably don't know, unless you know me pretty well, because I don't talk about it a whole lot. I went to Heidelberg College, now Heidelberg University, in middle of nowhere, Ohio. Um, Heidelberg is a big town in Germany. I have a lot of German descents. I don't know if we actually had anybody from Heidelberg that we descended from, but I think it's interesting that this is called Heidelberg Materials in France. Um, and maybe they came home. Maybe they're from Germany. Obviously, France and Germany have a border, so it might make sense that that Heidelberg Materials actually is from Germany, and then that's why it's called Heidelberg Materials France. But they have released 4 hemp compatible lime binders and plasters. All right. France is leading the world in hempcrete technology already. Um, I think they're ahead of most when it comes to hemp fiber and using hemp fiber, whether it's for insulation or it's not as much for clothing. They tend to use hemp fiber more for truly industrial purposes than to make clothing out of. But they embrace it. France has always embraced it. France is the only country in the world that never made hemp illegal. So this is really neat. And again, the first modern hempcrete house was built in France, late '80s, 1980s, late '80s. I think is when '88 or '90, somewhere right around in there, was when the first modern hempcrete house was built in the world in France as well. Um, and so they've always been ahead of it. But these 4 products, they have Isoliant, Isoliant Eco, Naturalise, and Unilise. And again, they're all bio-based materials, the lime binders. And so, this you take those bio-based, and you add that to uh, your herd, what we call herd in the industrial hemp world, which is those little shiv. Sometimes people refer to it as shiv, but that broken up stalk basically is what it is. You take that and your bases here, whichever one you want to use, and some water, mix it up, and bim bam boom, you got your hempcrete. You know, it'd be interesting once again, and I feel like that lime base or whatever that is, that bio based material, that's what we have to maybe tweak so that we can use hempcrete as load bearing, which we cannot do right now. Now in France, I mean, they're building 5, 7 story buildings out of hempcrete blocks. So I mean, and maybe they're putting rebarb and pulling down and making that so it's. But they're obviously building with hempcrete in a way that I believe, and I don't know. I'm not an architect, and I don't know structurally how these are really getting built. But I would think that they're using hempcrete in a way that is making it load bearing. And it's not the spray in. Most of the larger buildings that are building in France are hemp block, and so I think that would conceivably be in my I'm just thinking physics and geometry and all these things that may be a way to use hempcrete to make it load bearing, whereas when you spray it in for some reason or another, it is just not as structurally strong or reliant. I don't know why. It's a great insulator, but even in the United States, still you have to basically spray. That's what they call it, insulation here. They don't, that's why it's referred to as insulation, is because you cannot use it to make a load bearing wall in the United States. But France is building huge buildings, and they use it in every form. Um, but most of the time, I'm pretty sure the larger buildings that I have shown on the show were hemp block. Uh, and I don't know. I believe the building. I don't know about. I'm going to have to go back and look at the building, the 12-story building in Australia, which is the tallest hempcrete building, and see if that was block or if that's a spray on. And once again, then they're not using it for structural purposes, load bearing, I should say, purposes. But again, we'll definitely be seeing these products make it into the United States because, and again, here's one more industry. Whether you want to pour the hempcrete yourself or mix it, come up with yours, or come up with something that works best with hemp to make the best hempcrete, you know, um, here's 4 new bio-based products that these companies have made in France. And so we have so many more advancements to be made to make this stuff even better than it is now. And technically, lime is bio-based. Uh, we have to extract that from limestone, crush it up. I guess it gets crushed up into small pieces, so that's still mining and whatever, even though, there is a substantial amount of limestone. But I don't know what these are, what the bio base really means there. What are they using? Again, I'm sure that it's just some type of rock or whatever. I don't know. All right. Um, at the Alabama A&M University, which is kind of funny because they're in the state of Alabama, their hemp stuff is going crazy. But at Alabama A&M University, staying on the hempcrete line, they're creating a lounge for the transit operators out of hempcrete. And I've shown Sergey Kovalenkov, and I hope I'm not butchering your name, Sergey, I believe, Sergey Kovalenkov. He came in and was working with the students, and this is going to be the first public building in Alabama made out of hempcrete as well. So good for that. We see a lot of universities, and again, as far as construction students and eco-friendly ideology, I mean, hemp once again will have its own classification at universities soon enough, and there will be, um, you know, I think the potential for a hemp major, um, because you have so many different things. You can study hemp for fiber. You can study hemp for construction materials. You can study hemp for food. You can. I mean, there's so many different things that potentially a university could literally have, a whole line of hemp classes. Obviously, you could have one hemp class. I could, maybe I'm wasting my skills and maybe I should become one of these adjunct professors and just teach a class on hemp, um, because there is enough material to fill an entire and again, completely separate from marijuana classes and all those things. But if universities really want to provide their students with beneficial education on future industry, the hemp industry is the biggest one. And getting in on it now, I've been saying this and I've been telling everybody this for a long time. Getting in on it now is wide open. There's products and so many different parts of the industry that anyone can pick. And once again, I could incorporate hemp into a lot of majors um, at any university. So, the article was hemp versus pumpkin for magnesium. All right, and I've been talking about magnesium. Magnesium is a hot subject right now, for what this reason or that reason. And again, it's one of the reasons is because it's supposed to be good for the brain, and so I think it's something that is focused with the older generation right now. But known for to be high in magnesium, but hemp blew it away. It had 1.5 times the amount of magnesium as pumpkin, and just 1 ounce, 28 grams, 1 ounce. Is that 1 ounce? I think that's 1 ounce. 1 ounce is value of magnesium. Just 1 ounce. So that's it's a decent amount of magnesium. Again, there is no age. There's no reason for every human to not add. Honestly, we will be healthier, better human for it. Better, your skin will be healthier, your hair will be healthier. Every part of the nutritional value of this plant benefits the humans more than most of the other plants. And again, to hemp and magnesium. Now hemp blows it away on all the other stuff, protein. So you could pick your plant and say, "Oh, well, I can get more this out of this." Yeah, but can you get more of all these other things out of that? It's just like this is a microcosm of how I look at hemp macroly. Again, I would always said, you take your food or you take your plant, and I'll debate a planet that's going to beat hemp as the utilities that it can provide us. I don't honestly think that there's any vegetative food that we can compare to hemp, nutrients and minerals and vitamins and protein and omega-6, omega-3 and all those things, that there's any vegetative fermented food that is any better for us than hemp. You know, as much as we all should have hemp in our daily life, clothing, soaps, whatever it is, the way I live. I wish every human lived their life the way I live my life. And hemp would be cheap enough to do that if we all did. You know, I wake up in hemp and I go to sleep in hemp, and in between, I use hemp all day long for everything that I can. You know, and I think my skin looks better for that. I think my hair looks better for that. I think my body looks better for that, inside and out. You know, I think the only thing hemp can't do for me that I would love to see is make my eyesight better. And we haven't worked that out yet. Although I did just see some controversy around some CBD eye drops. So I might have to do some investigating on that. But there was some, and I think that's because the FDA finally stepped in on this one and said, "Woo, wait a minute." And so, you know, I'd like to do some more research, but I don't know how that, you know, if that could really work or not, if that would benefit. Um, Either way. So, all right. So I've been talking about this because I think this is the smart move for any state, but it looks like Pennsylvania is listening to me. They're going to start a cannabis control board. And this is going to oversight all of the cannabis that's everything's going on in their state when it comes to cannabis. And again, this makes more sense. You know, if Ohio's really that concerned about it, they create a cannabis control board, and you know they divide it all up and they you know they regulate all the everything that's going on. Whatever. I like that. So I think there was at least 30 U.S. attorney generals that are asking Congress for clarification on what hemp is. All right, now I am not in any means an attorney or lawyer or whatever. I think if you've made it to this position, 30 of these 30 of these humans, 30 humans across the state who have made it to the highest cop level. This is basically, you know, attorney generals, they're the top cop in the state. Can't read, I don't know, 7 little paragraphs in the federal law, which clearly define, I have no question from day one of passing the 2018 Agricultural Act, what the definition of hemp is. And it clearly defines all byproducts. All right? Here, hey, attorney generals, wherever you are, you don't have to ask them. I will tell you. The definition of industrial hemp in the federal law is cannabis sativa L with a zero point 0.3 or less percent of THC. That's it. That's the definition of hemp. Go look it up. It's pretty, again, the section in the Agricultural Act that takes hemp off the controlled substance list and reiterates the definition of hemp that was actually in the 2014 Agricultural Act. Clearly defined what hemp was. The 2018 Act clearly defines that everything that is a byproduct of that hemp is hemp. Extract. I mean, there's they specifically list, I believe, 8 things from extracts to material to whatever. But again, saying everything Once you've passed the test at the end of the year, and you've got that 0.3% or less, you can make or use that hemp to do whatever you want, and it's 100% legal. That's why, again, that's why the state of Ohio can't do what they're doing by redefining what hemp is. The federal government is clearly defined what hemp is. Now, do we have to worry about the next farm bill? We are, because now there's all this talk about how you're going to ban THC or industrial hemp THC and all that, which you can't do because the federal government's already said we're going to have that allowable 0.3%. The reason you can't say 0% is because no one on the planet over the last 28 million years has completely bred THC out of cannabis. Now there was the group down in Lexington who were blatantly lying about it. They claimed that they had a 0.00% THC cannabis plant, but they're the same ones whose stuff caught on fire, and I think they were all just a bunch of scam artists. I don't know. I'm not here to defame anyone, but the same group that did in fact come out and publicly say they had a 0.00% THC cannabis plant. Shortly after that, their entire facility caught on fire, and there was a lot of controversy around it. But my point is, you cannot ban industrial hemp THC. You cannot do it. That's what the 0.3% is saying. So it's a mess, kid. And so all I can say is just stop messing with it. Just stop messing with it. If the new farm bill messes with it even a little bit, it is going to send the entire market into a tailspin. The entire market into everywhere, every state, not just Ohio, but everywhere. They just need to leave it alone, and then again, figure out if states want to do this or that. And again, it should just be a state, an age restriction, and that's it. And then maybe a small license fee, so they can keep track of everybody that is selling it. And then go check and see, make sure. Just that's why the licensing for tobacco exists, and even alcohol, so they know who's doing it, and then they can go in and check and make sure you're carding people. That's really it. Alcohol, the scam there is the amount of money for an alcohol license. Just like the scam in Ohio that wants to put 10,000 feet on a hemp license to sell hemp products, which is ridiculously stupid. So there's your clarification, attorney generals. Go just look at the federal bill. It's not hard. Missouri's now going after their drink market, so we'll see how all that plays out. And I still probably going to take it over, put it under their alcohol industry. Who knows? Again, that's the big thing. A lot of places are doing. And again, those moves aren't legal either, and that's anti-consumerism to say, okay, hemp drinks, you have to go here or do this specifically for. Because if the product, once again, is legal and available in any form, then you cannot make it illegal or unavailable in a different form. So, if industrial hemp THC, industrial hemp is legal in a vape in Missouri, then making a THC industrial hemp drink in Missouri, you have to go somewhere different to get it, or you can't get it, or whatever. That's anti-consumerism. You can't do that either. And apparently the Minnesota license for edibles goes into effect November 1. And Minnesota is like they're going crazy with it. They're going crazy with the industrial hemp THC. Just so you know. And again, this all started about a year or two ago. I'm sure I reported on it on the show about basically, at some point or another, it was ruled in the state that THC drinks or THC products were legal. And I think it was the drinks thing. I think the drinks were getting challenged a couple years ago, and it went to the court, and they said, no, you know what? Because this is industrial hemp and it's THC and you can get it in all these other forms, we can't say it's not. And then all of a sudden it was like, holy shit, THC is legal in Minnesota. And the state kind of accepted it because it's true. And, they're just letting it happen. But apparently there's a new license for edibles that you have to get there. I'll have to look into that and see what that costs you in Minnesota now. But again, they're not trying to ban it. They're not trying to take it away. They're embracing the fact that it's legal and just figuring out how to do it. I'm sure there's age requirements. Wouldn't surprise me. So, hempcrete and THC, Minnesota. So there was a homemade cocoa recipe online, and they included variations. I think I sent this over. And what I think is interesting, so they basically
all I have is a picture of like a big store.
Okay, so I didn't. So I must have forgot to send the picture over, but it was just really a list of words of alternative milks for this cocoa. Like when you get down to the bottom of the recipe, it says, "Well, alternative milks." It had this lot soy and all these. And the interesting part about it was, and this is what I really wanted to show, was that all the milks were in bold letters, except for hemp milk. Hemp milk was just in regular, and it was just. I was like, what is that? What are you subliminal? It was like passively aggressively, morally judging hemp milk,
right?
By not putting it in the bold letters.
Does seem odd.
Yeah, right. It's like we want to tell you about hemp milk existing, but we don't want to be as loud about it as all the other alternatives to dairy milk. It's the stigma. The stigma exists, and it needs to stop. Just needs to stop. So apparently, the biggest complaint about hemp wraps. So if you roll your cannabis in hemp wraps, the biggest complaint about it is that they dry out quickly. I don't know. I don't use these. We sell a lot of wraps. I never really, it never seems to be an issue, but apparently it is in the world. I don't know. But now they've come up with a new hybrid hemp wrap. And this new hybrid, I think this is funny because this new hybrid hemp wrap actually includes more hemp. So I don't know what the hemp wraps are now as to why they're not whatever, but they're going to add more hemp to make, and it's a whole moisture thing. So by adding more hemp to the hemp wrap, it actually retains the moisture better than the less hemp. There you have it. So South Korea. They're going to build their ester formula USA facility, and they've actually bought a manufacturing company. Now, what they produce now, and they bought an existing, I think it was like a CBD processing or a manufacturing facility out in California. But what this ester company does is they actually made the dissolvable tongue strips with I think there was like melatonin, and there was a couple other that are on the market, but they're adding a CBD dissolvable tongue strip to their line, but they're moving the facility here to the United States. So there's hemp, making America great again, building manufacturing in America.
That's right.
Come on. Even the South Koreans realize how important it is, and so there you have it. Um, Circle K, the big convenience store chain, they are going to start selling THC. This is again why the government shouldn't mess with this. No one should change it. It's going to mess things up. They're going to start selling THC drinks starting 2026. So we'll see what happens because I don't think the farm bill. The farm bill's not going to get passed this year. So, but depending on federally what happens there, um, all these state bans. So it's going to be interesting to see how all that plays out. But that's a huge, huge um, amount of stores that are anticipating selling THC drinks. And again, put them right there beside the alcohol, and we'll see which one sells better, and we'll see how much better the people are in the communities for choosing THC instead of alcohol. Challenge, bring it on. All right. So the Flax Company has developed what they call Marmara hemp, and what they're doing is they're producing hemp fibers at 35 millimeters. Okay, and apparently that's where it needs to be so that it can be spun on or in existing cotton spinning system. And again, this is huge because this is exactly what needs to happen. Um, and so now I understand why Levi called their new line of hemp jeans cottonized hemp. Because what that meant is I always wondered what that meant. Specifically, what that meant is they have the fiber, they are producing a fiber themselves that will run through an existing cotton spinning machine. Um, and so I feel like this is huge once again. For the principle of having this fiber that can be spun in the existing machinery is a huge part of producing more um, hemp products, from hemp canvas to hemp jeans to hemp t-shirts to whatever. I believe we should be able to make, if this is the case, we should be able to make 100% hemp t-shirt out of this, and it's going to feel like your average t-shirt. So um, it's kind of exciting, and this is exactly where we need to go. And again, if you're in the United States, you should be figuring out how to do this here. Um, and I've been talking about it. The material, the fiber material part of the industry is just one part that has plenty of room to grow. And this is exactly the room that it needs to be growing in. We can run hemp through the same machine that spins cotton. Um, that's a game changer. This company's done it. And so, and apparently, and again, they're using no water or chemicals. And the amount of water and chemicals that you have to use to get cotton into that long fiber to run through those spinning machines is insane. Now, apparently, in the UK, if you add just 10% hemp to your clothing line, then you can be designated eco-friendly. So, 10% is not enough in my opinion, but um, now this process is getting about 30% of usable fiber per ton. So, again, that's about almost 700 pounds. We'll call it 700 pounds. So, each ton of hemp fiber produces 700 pounds of usable fiber to make that. So, I'm just thinking about that farm I mentioned earlier that's getting 10,000 or 5,000 tons, 5,000 tons per acre. All right. So now you're getting 3,500 3,500 pounds of usable fiber per acre. How can we not be growing enough of this to get the prices down to make this as cheap as cotton? I just don't even understand. And again, to do that, the farmer doesn't have to spend any money on chemicals or herbicides. No herbicides, no pesticides on him. Again, the fact that you can get that amount of tonnage out there is because you can grow 3 times as much hemp on 1 acre as you can cotton. So it makes sense that you get that. So basically, if the math in my head works out right, 1 acre of hemp for fiber gets you basically the same usable amount of fiber to spin in a machine that's already using cotton without any water or chemicals to make that. And then cotton has already used the largest amount of herbicides and pesticides as any agricultural crop, and then a huge amount of water to get that fiber into the form to spin it in these machines. Now, I don't know what happens to the 70% of the biomass that they can't use, but I guarantee it's not wasted. You can still use that fiber for many, many, many principles, from insulation to this, that, and all the other. So, we need these game-changing things happening in the United States, not in other countries. But I'm glad that they're doing it in other countries. We will follow suit. And I've always said once we legalize here, we would take these 100-year-old technology and tweak it to the modern age, and it will be so much uh, easier on the whole industry than it was 100 years ago. And it's true. It's huge manufacturing plants, processing plants in the United States getting built. You know, this is something that I've always said could be done because we can weave hemp as thin as silk or as rough as burlap. And so I always knew. But the consistency part of it is what the industry really needed, because that's what they were looking for. They didn't want inconsistent fiber, which to me didn't matter, because if you're buying a pair of jeans for a fiber that's going to last 4 to 6 times stronger than the comparable fiber, and because that fiber is eco-friendly, you're not going to care if it's 100% consistent. I mean, I'm feeling my jeans right now, 100% hemp jeans, and I don't feel like any parts of it, like a little knot that's inconsistent. It's just it doesn't exist now if we don't need it to. So. All right, I'm going to leave everyone with this visitor center. This is getting built at the Ixtham Moat Manor House. But it's hemp blocks, and if you look real closely on the right there, you can see that back wall. But once again, it's a hemp block. This is over in Europe, but this is a hemp block project on this huge manor. I should have done an aerial footage of it as well, but I think it's pretty neat. It's a very cool looking structure, and this is like again the visitor center, that we can go by and learn or whatever. But hemp blocks. All right. Well, that's about all I got. We don't have another medical marijuana meetup until December. We're skipping November because of the last night was technically a medical marijuana meetup. It was a Halloween party, Um, and I don't really have too much else on here. I'll get some other stuff up. It's kind of a slow time of year. I've seen some hempcrete stuff already announced for next year, but there's no reason to rush to let everybody know about it. But I'll start talking about it soon enough. Well, I didn't see any questions. My thoughts were clearly illustrated, and we'll go from there. We'll see everybody next week. Remember, reduce, reuse, recycle, replant, remake. Having temptations.
That's right. See y'all next week.